Parents, your support means everything to your athletes and to us at Varsity Media. To help us continue bringing you the best YouTube coverage of high school sports on Long Island, we invite business owners to consider a sponsorship on our broadcasts. If you own a business, consider a sponsorship for your athlete's team. It's a great way to show support, gain visibility, and keep the coverage going strong. Join us in making a difference. Contact Varsity Media today to learn more about broadcast sponsorship opportunities by emailing ben@varsitymedia.net.
And we are live in Port Washington, New York for what should be a good one, a rematch from the first round of the playoffs a year ago with Massapequa visiting Port Washington. Covalolta coming off a sensational game last week as Massapequa squeaked out a 3-point victory at home over Oceanside. Port Washington now looking to solve this Massapequa riddle, a very young team, but a team that comes in averaging 33.5 points per game and a 3-1 record on the season. A beautiful shot of the skyline here in Port Washington, New York, as we welcome you into our coverage on the Varsity Media Sports Network here, Section 8, Nassau County Football. It is Port Washington and Massapequa. As we welcome you in to the broadcast booth, Lance Meadow alongside Brian Soper. And Brian, this is an interesting matchup because, once again, it's youth versus experience if you look at Port Washington versus Massapequa. But Port Washington looking to maybe shake up the top of the standings, knowing that if you could get a W here today, maybe you can move up the ladder in power points.
Yeah, no better night than tonight, Friday night, 3-1, Port Washington, 4-0. The Chiefs, they just seem to reload year after year, two-time defending Long Island champions. But this Port Washington team, 30 juniors, right, looking to pull off an upset tonight. We're in for a real treat because there's nothing but fireworks in this Nassau A so far this season.
35-26 was the final in the playoffs. So this is what we're talking about in terms of the intensity in Nassau Conference. Farmingdale, we see just decimal points ahead of Massapequa in power points. Oceanside right on their tails. And then Brian, Port Washington, 117.20. So you look, a 3-1 record. You get a victory tonight. Who knows how things can change?
It's been a lot of scoring so far in Conference 1. Oceanside took care of Port Washington earlier in the year, but Port learned a lot, understanding how to stop the rushing attack, and they're going to have to do that tonight, especially if you're going to take down Massapequa and comma for Farmingdale. It's about rushing in this league and stopping the rush, and Port's done a lot to try to get better at that, and let's see if it pays off tonight.
Specifically, Andrew Petalino and Joe Brooks providing a 1-2 punch in the backfield for Massapequa. So let's take you through our impact players of the game, those that you should keep close tabs on. And we're going to start with the road team, Massapequa. As we mentioned, they're coming off a big victory at home last week. It was a game-sealing interception for Joe Brooks, as we highlight him as one of our two players. He's a running back. He's a safety. His numbers may not jump off the page, but he is so active and he's so crafty. And then Covalolta, their star wide receiver, had nearly 100 receiving yards last week. He found the end zone right before the first half. We look at him knocking on the door of 200 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns. Let's flip the script to the other side of the equation, Port Washington. And also highlighting 2 players. Jimmy Gannon is one of their best wide receivers. Not only is he tops in receptions, but he's number 1 in targets. He's athletic. He's shifty. They love to get him out in open space. Then on the defensive side, it's about Mike Aselta, who you see leads the team with 27 tackles. He's viewed as the quarterback of the defense. He gets everybody set, and he is able to be the tone setter on that side of the ball. So with that being said, let's now take you through our keys to today's game. We had an opportunity to speak with both coaches, and Brian, why don't you take us through it?
Yeah, Massapequa coach Shippost, eliminate any unforced errors, stop the deep ball. If something Port Washington's done great so far with Levi Felix is go deep, right? And Massapequa wants to spread the ball around, plenty of weapons on the outside. Port, we got to stop the run. 385 yards gave up against Oceanside, their only loss. You got to stop Vialta. You got to stop Gargiulo, Petalino. A lot of rushing attack for them. Make big plays on defense. Get a turnover here. Maybe score. And stay aggressive on offense. Take those deep shots. Right, Harry Einen's been airing it out so far this year. Look for them to continue that tonight to try to pull off an upset.
This is quite the quarterback matchup. Luke Gargiulo for Massapequa, 6 touchdowns, no interceptions. Harry Einen has thrown for 13 scores, Brian. He hasn't thrown a pick. Now, my luck, I'm probably jinxing both of them tonight. But the point is, you talked about takeaways here and some of the keys. They've done a really good job, the quarterback specifically, in protecting the football.
Yeah, valuing the ball is so important. You know, it's like a stop is huge so far this season. Getting a stop on defense, a lot of points. But if you can get a turnover to sway momentum, that's going to be huge.
As we are inching closer to kickoff here in Port Washington, New York, a battle between the Vikings and the Chiefs, with Port Washington coming in at 3-1, Massapequa perfect 4-0, the 36-33 victory over Oceanside. They had to rally back from down 2 touchdowns in that game. It was a 14-0 lead for Oceanside, and then they were able to flip the script. So that brings us to another point. If you're Port Washington, it's a matter of not only can you jump out to an early lead, Brian, can you maintain it and keep the pressure on Massapequa?
You're not a 2-time Long Island champ for nothing, right? They know how to win. They know how to win late. I'm curious to see. Danilo had a lot of goal line carries for them in that comeback. Let's see if they get him the ball as well, adding another weapon to this ground game of Massapequa.
Anthony Danilo, their fullback tight end. To your point, he had 2 rushing scores, and he is a versatile player, one of which he didn't even need a blocker. He just walked right into the end zone. It was such an exciting back-and-forth affair. I had an opportunity to call that game here on the Varsity Media Sports Network, and we're certainly expecting just as thrilling of a battle here in Nassau County, Port Washington and Massapequa. As we will step aside here, and when we return, we'll have the opening kickoff and run you through the starting lineups in the latest chapter of this rivalry in Port Washington, New York, on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
Now is a great time to book a sportscast with Varsity Media. What sets our sportscast apart isn't just the quality of our production, it's the knowledge, passion, and professionalism that our announcers bring to every game.
It's Merrill. Oh, look at a fake by Merrill. There's the spin again. Gary Merrill is not human. Touchdown, St. Anthony. Profeta! 1-0, Garden City.
Our commentators research athletes and highlight storylines that matter to your communities. Our approach creates a broadcast experience that not only informs, but elevates the athletes, giving the kind of recognition usually reserved for professional levels. Varsity Media's announcers make sure that every athlete has their moment. So book a Varsity Media Sportscast today, and let's get your team the recognition it deserves.
Are you a local business looking for new and creative ways to promote your company? Varsity Media offers affordable rates that can get your message across to a demographic of 18 to 54 years of age. Our follower base across social media is 75,000 strong, and our viewership numbers per game are in the thousands. Don't blow your advertising budget on old staples like TV and radio media. Reach out to Varsity Media to get the best bang for your buck.
And we are back here in Port Washington, New York, as the Vikings get set to square off with the Chiefs of Massapequa, with both teams getting set to play their 5th games of the season. The one loss for Port Washington came at Oceanside. It was a lopsided affair as they fell 51-14. Massapequa, we mentioned, coming off the victory over Oceanside. And other than that game, Brian, they have not been in highly contested contests that have gone down to the wire. And that was the one thing that Kevin Chippos talked about going into last week's game. Are we battle-tested? Can we deal with adversity? I think he probably checked off a number of those items based on how they finished.
Oceanside, Massapequa doesn't get any bigger than that. To pull out a victory, to come from behind, to never out of it. Even last year on that great play at the end from Vialta rolled out and hit Diesso to beat Farmingdale. It's just you never can really pinpoint which guy it's going to be on this Massapequa team. Battle-tested athletes, multi-sport athletes who know how to win.
So they are getting set here for the opening coin toss to determine who will be kicking off and who will be receiving. Oceanside jumped on Massapequa very early in that game, and they dominated time of possession. They set the tone and ran the ball effectively. That was significant in terms of them putting a lot of pressure on Massapequa. As we see Tristan Tarasi, the captain for the Chiefs, right at the center of your screen, number 62. He's one of their defensive linemen. And it looks like Massapequa is going to receive as Port Washington will kick off, and it's going to be the Port Washington defense that is going to be put to the test right out of the gates here.
Massapequa's averaging 7.8 yards a carry. We'll get that run defense tested right away. Quarterback Arjulo, Petalino, Brooks, Vialta, Danello all can run the ball.
Now, we mentioned Tarasi at the center of the screen. Now, he was in shorts and a shirt, Brian, interestingly. He was not in pads. He's their starting right guard, and he's also one of their starting defensive tackles, and he's a big body that presents quite the presence. So, as it appears right now, it may have been a late-in-the-week type of injury, but they're going to be without his services, and you wonder, is that an area that Port Washington can look to exploit?
Yeah, he's a Newsday top 100. He's a second-team All-Long Island player, plays both sides, D-tackle and that right guard spot. Next man up if you're Massapequa, but Port Washington probably won't feel too bad not seeing 62 with a helmet on.
Well, anytime you can have a Chief out of the lineup, it's not necessarily a bad thing. Not that we're wishing ill, of course, to Tarasi, who has been, as you mentioned, a staple of the program. Senior, 4-year starter. He's their best lineman on both sides of the ball. You ask Kevin Chippos, without any hesitation, he will tell you, there's no doubt about it, what he brings in terms of intensity. But he will be a spectator tonight as we get ready for kickoff here in Port Washington, New York. Thanks so much for spending your Friday night with us on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
One thing to look at is Dylan Buckley leads like Long Island in interceptions, right? He has 5 INTs for Port. If he could steal one early, that would be huge.
And he also scored a touchdown off of one of those 5. That was against Plainview JFK. As we look at the wind gusts at 12 miles per hour, a beautiful 60-degree night. Visibility.
Might be having that nor'easter rolling in. Hopefully, tonight will be fine. Hopefully, games tomorrow won't be affected.
Yeah, it seems to maybe be coming in the latter part of Saturday. So hopefully, Mother Nature will cooperate tonight and not cause any havoc for our production team as well. Trying to make it as enjoyable and easy as possible as Port Washington kicking off here with Levi Felix. And it's a grounder that Joe Brooks is going to let Jason LaRosa handle. And LaRosa finds an opening, and he's going to cut around some traffic and then be brought down at the 30. Boy, did that look dangerous initially for Port Washington, but they were able to regroup.
Kind of a broken kickoff. Nice tackle. That was 14. Dylan Buckley, right, doing it on special teams as well. But disaster averted if you're Port Washington. Nice open field tackle by Buckley. Here we go, 1st and 10 for the Chiefs.
For LaRosa, that was his 4th kickoff return of the season. And we are going to see Luke Gargiulo and company Gargiulo, in addition to those 6 passing touchdowns against no picks, has 3 rushing scores. And last week he was efficient, 11 of 17 for 198 yards. He also ran for $121 with a touchdown because he had an explosive run. And they're going to start off just as they did last week on the ground, as they are not wasting any time trying to move the chains. And it is Joe Brooks, the hero, who had the game-sealing pick.
Brooks does everything. He carries it, had a great lead block for one of the tying touchdowns, had that sealing interception. Nice carry, right already above that average 7.8 with a 9-yard rip on first down.
He didn't have huge numbers outside of the interception. He had 1 catch for 31 yards right in the middle of the field, 2 carries for a yard. As they put many guys in motion, Gargiulo over the middle. He's got Danilo for a first down, and he's still pushing through, guys, as he gets taken down at the 25. And in the blink of an eye, Massapequa is in Port Washington territory.
That's one thing about Gargiulo. He's been so accurate this year. Gets great protection, untouched. Brooks on the little sweep, fake it to him. Danilo's he's a Swiss Army knife. He is a great blocker on the line of scrimmage. He can carry it at the goal line, and his hands are really, really good. Very dangerous weapon for the Chiefs.
Danilo had just 2 catches for 13 yards coming in. Well, he went past that and more with his 3rd catch of the season, as they're going to hand it off to Petalino. Andrew with his first carry, trying to move forward as he gets brought down at the 25-yard line.
Petalino has that big play ability, but this line of the Chiefs, very athletic, strong technique. Jack Mulligan, Nolan Wieserick, one of the best athletes in the junior class on Long Island. Alan Van Skyler, right, Benucci, replacing last year Connor Pinedo and A.J. Malenko. Not easy, but they haven't missed a beat.
And Benucci last year was a backup offensive lineman, now getting into the starting lineup as they put Burns in motion. Gargiulo, no surprise, he's going to keep it himself around a blocker. He makes another man miss, and the quarterback is down inside the 10-yard line, setting up 1st and goal for Massapequa.
To average 7.9 a carry, everyone needs to block. Burns on the outside, Tyler Burns, 6'4 senior, does a great job at the point of attack. To allow Gargiulo to get past the sticks to set up a 1st and goal. Burns is going to UMass to play lax, also plays hoops, many of the multi-sport Chief athletes.
He had 1 catch for 9 yards last week as we have both running backs in the backfield to the left and right of Gargiulo. And he's going to hand it off to Petalino. Petalino looking for an opening, and he is brought down inside the 5-yard line as we see the active Port Washington defenders led by Jonah Nadboy coming in to make the tackle.
Yeah, Nadboy, 23 tackles on the year. Just all-out effort by that kid on every play. Going to need it right now. 2nd and goal inside the 5. This is where the Chiefs get paid usually.
Not just Massapequa, Kansas City as well, for those of you keeping track at home. As Gargiulo looking to cap off this opening drive with a touchdown. He hands it off to Petalino, who's still chugging along, and he's brought down from behind by James McCormick, their Mike linebacker, with a heck of a play.
Great job by him. Also plays left tackle for the Vikings, 2-year starter. Gritty, he's tough, he's lax. That was a little wrestling move there, a little 2-point takedown by McCormick. Port Washington digging in here on the goal line.
Head coach Kevin Clogasy calls him, McCormick, the grittiest, toughest player on the roster. I think we got a sample of that. So it's 3rd and goal for Massapequa. Looking to find the end zone. They're going to give it to Petalino. He cuts from right to left. He reaches out towards the end zone, and he is in. Andrew Petalino with his 7th rushing score of the season, and the Chiefs strike first here on the road.
Yeah, Petalino, this is his year, right? Last year behind Vialta, got enough touches to really feel involved. Now it's his team, fights through a tackle, finds the end zone, capping off a great opening drive for Massapequa. Well done by the Chiefs, well done by that offensive line, and great heart by Petalino to get it across the goal line.
So we see Petalino stretching out after running in for his score as Chris Bissetta will come on to kick the extra point. He's 24 of 25 this season, And you can make it 25 of 26 as Massapequa goes coast to coast, taking it in with a rushing score to make it a 7-0 advantage over Port Washington. And Brian, let's take another look at this latest touchdown.
Yeah, he's only 5'8", about 165. He plays a lot bigger, lowers his pads, gets to the end zone. Nice job by the Chiefs, set up by the big play by Danilo, and then the ground game got them 6.
Yeah, we saw them spread the wealth, but Danilo was one of the players you highlighted off the top. You had mentioned, listen, he ran in for 2 scores last week, but you called him a Swiss Army knife, and it just goes to show you when you go up against Massapequa, they could have emphasized one group of personnel one way the previous week, and then the following week, all of a sudden, Danilo is a key component in the middle of the field.
Yeah, he's a multi-sport, SUNY Oswego baseball commit. Baseball at Massapequa wins, lacrosse wins, football wins. They're used to getting things done.
And he comes from a very talented sports family. His older sister played JV soccer at Massapequa, graduated in 2024, and then younger sister is the captain of the JV volleyball team. So they have conquered it all when it comes to this program.
The only thing, though, I think he's a Jets fan, so that's not going too well.
The opinions from the broadcast booth, we should say, are not necessarily the views of everybody watching as well as on the football field as we resume play here with Massapequa kicking off. And Port Washington is going to look to shake things up here in the return game. Can they find an opening and give good field positioning? And Massapequa all over Teddy Behan to prevent him from taking it the opposite way.
Yeah, that was 17, Dylan Milio, 6'1", junior, getting down on the specials. Here we go. Let's see if they can hit those big plays. 80-yard touchdown, 25-yard touchdown the first quarter for Felix versus Westbury. Let's see if they try to take the lid off right away.
Harry Einen, the starting quarterback for the Vikings. He comes in completing 67% of his passes, 13 touchdowns, no interceptions. He's also a heck of a lacrosse player. And right now, his goal is to solve this Massapequa defense as their offense looks to return the favor. And immediately, he's going to dump it off. And again, a rule, it's an incomplete pass. He was trying to get it to Levi Felix.
Yeah, Felix, his first year on the varsity, 5'11", 13 grabs for 6 touchdowns, 8 for 203 last week. Big play target. How about Max Einen, right? Gets to snap the ball to his brother Harry. 2 really good lacrosse players. Harry, 43 goals on the year. Max Einen, one of the best goalies on Long Island, going to Ohio State.
And again, another pass, and this screen is executed as they cross the 30-yard line. And it's again Felix, who now is up to 15 catches on the season.
Hey now, Jackson Marrow with the block to spring Felix, 6'1", 180 junior, first year on the varsity, springing the first-year varsity receiver. That was a heck of a block on the outside.
He's the second most targeted player on this team. And he leads the team in receiving yards and receiving touchdowns. This is first year on varsity for Felix.
You see the cushion they're giving him, right? They're afraid of that big play speed by him.
Well, they know, they read the scouting report. He's a track star, so you do not want to give him much wiggle room. And the same could be said. They are now allowing Joe Fox to survey the field as their starting running back taken down immediately.
Yeah, Fox is a big physical runner, but you saw Nolan Wieserick in there, as well as Jack Mulligan. Nice job tackling by those guys.
As we look at Einen's numbers, trying to get to 900 passing yards on the season. He has been extremely productive through the first 4 games, and another quick release, but cannot connect again with Felix. So we've seen Felix, Brian, targeted 3 times already.
Yeah, plenty of targets by him. Maybe trying to go soft, quick, quick passes, and boom, right? Maybe try to hit a double move or a big play. Going to be tested on the outside. Mike Ippolito is drawing that Felix assignment.
As Port Washington changing some personnel, we look at their starting offense. We've seen their running back Joe Fox as well as Levi Felix. Jimmy Gannon was one of the players we highlighted off the top. He's shifty if they can get him out in open space. And then, of course, we look at the offensive line, which has a lot of size. You've got 4 players 6 feet or taller as they're going to take a shot towards the opposite side of the field, and it's incomplete to Joe Fox, who is running a route.
Joe Fox is that dual threat. He can run it. He's also very good in the receiving game. 6 foot, good size, 8 catches for 57 yards and 2 touchdowns on the year. Coach Cloggessy really likes what he can do out of the backfield. Just a little high.
So they're going to have to punt. Could not convert on 3rd down as we look at the special teams unit for Port Washington, trying to reverse the field. And this is going to take a Vikings bounce as it is going to roll all the way inside the 25-yard line. So Port Washington unable to move the chains, but able to at least put the pressure back on Massapequa with a well-executed special teams punt.
Need a stop, right? Massapequa has the ability to run away and hide if you can't get stops. This is a big testing point for this Port D.
And Max Einen, the twin brother of the quarterback, the punter for Port Washington, as we look at Luke Gargiulo, his numbers for Massapequa, as he already led a touchdown drive in this one. 6 touchdowns, no interceptions, 440 passing yards. And his size and his reach also makes him, Brian, very difficult to be brought down because of what he supplies the ground attack.
His favorite player, quarterback, he emulates is Josh Allen, right? He's got that dual threat ability. He's got good size. He's smart, knows when to keep it, when to give it. Really a dual threat quarterback for Massapequa.
And Gargiulo, we should note, is a Giants fan. He's not a Jets fan. So Brian is very fond of that as Massapequa comes out running the football. And with authority, it is Andrew Petalino picking up where he left off with the touchdown.
Just running right up the middle, following the center, Van Skyler. He's a captain for a reason. He likes the toughness. He likes run blocking. And they're going right behind him to start this game.
As we look at the starting offense for the Chiefs, with their offensive line doing a heavy lifting. And that pass off the slant to Villalta. He's still on his feet, and he's finally brought down at the 40. And just like that, Massapequa back in Port Washington territory.
Just a big target, right? Nice run route. He's rangy, 6'3", 190. Got some hops, didn't need to use them there as that ball, as usual, is pretty darn accurate by 16.
Villalta has great hands, and you can understand why Luke likes throwing it to him. Petalino is wrapped up just as he got that carry. And the tackle by Adrian Restivo.
You can't take it for granted, right? Villalta's brother Tyler, one of the best seasons ever, 33 touchdowns, 1,500 yards. Diesso at quarterback had 30 touchdowns. You had Billy Skirba. You're replacing close to 58 touchdowns, and these kids have not missed a beat. Credit to the coaching staff, Shippos and Gargiulo being ready.
The depth that they develop on JV as well, it has been tremendous. So the Vikings are going to call a timeout as their defense looking to regroup with Massapequa again in their territory, looking to make it 2 for 2. And if you're Port Washington right now, last thing you want to do is fall behind 2 touchdowns. So this is huge for their defense to try to force a field goal, make a stop. Special teams did a good job reversing course, but Massapequa is such an explosive team, Brian, that's only half the battle.
You got to get in the backfield. You got to disrupt Gargiulo. You got to try to get some tackles for losses because, it almost feels like a win if you limit them to 4 or 5 yards a play. And, that just keeps churning the first down markers down the field. So it's kind of pick your poison. You almost have to maybe take some chances with some of your calls, right, to try to maybe disrupt this offense and try to get a turnover, which the Chiefs really haven't done this year.
Massapequa, so good at protecting the ball thanks to their quarterback, Luke Gargiulo, who's able to rely on his playmakers to get out in open space and an integral part of the rushing attack. So They'll put a man in motion. And off the jet sweep, they've got some room as their special teams weapon, Jason LaRosa, getting involved with the offensive attack there.
Yeah, you see the speed. Really good athlete, plays midfield in lacrosse. Right, he's got some burners. You see him there on the jet sweep. Again, running behind that right side of the line has been really effective for Massapequa so far.
That was LaRosa's 8th carry of the season.
Yeah, Benucci over there has been really good. That's no shock. That's Danello's side as well with him blocking.
Gargiulo, he's going to fake the handoff, reverse course. He's got an angle. He's looking for it off the left side with a stiff arm. He gets twirled out of play by Teddy Behan. And again, they are inside the 10-yard line.
Yeah, just, a little Houdini act by Gargiulo. It's like you finally think they're going to get a stop, right? Great decision, right? Keeps it, goes out the backside for a big gainer. It's really hard to try to get, I know Romo likes to guess the next play, and sometimes I'm feeling like, confident up here, but honestly, with the way they're calling plays for Massapequa all year, run, pass, it's very hard to predict what they're doing next.
And he's so good at selling that fake handoff to keep the defense guessing. And this time, he's going to hand it off to Petalino, and Petalino brought down at that 10-yard line as we saw James McCormick get in the thick of things again, their middle linebacker.
Yeah, there's that kid again, McCormick. Gritty, tough, coach's dream. Way to finish your tackle. No one's getting out of the grasp of 52 right now.
And McCormick actually started the season off as a defensive end in the first 2 games, but then they moved him to the Mike position, and clearly he's flourishing in this new role. So Port Washington trying to keep Massapequa out of the end zone to prevent going down by a pair of touchdowns. The Gargiulo run put him in the red zone, but since then, the Vikings have been stingy. Can they get yet another stop? Gargiulo's going to keep it wide open over the middle, and that is a strike to his favorite target, Cole Vololta. Just like last week, he finds the end zone once again for his 4th score of the season.
Wide open. Just an unbelievable, drag it out, set your feet, another accurate pass, wide open. Gargiulo just slinging touchdowns out there. Vialta catching them. Something about that Vialta name that just, legendary stuff for Massapequa the last 2 years.
And he even uses his length on special teams as Becerra will come in to make it 2 for 2 on extra points. A 14-0 Massapequa lead over Port Washington. So this is a role reversal of their game last week at home. They fell down by 2 touchdowns. This week, they set the tone. 2 very efficient drives, mixed in the pass as well as the run, and pretty much put the football all across the board.
Yeah, Vialta's been doing it against everybody, against the best. 5 for 99 and a touchdown versus Oceanside. The competition doesn't matter. They've had some lopsided wins, but this kid gets done against the best.
So Cole just adding to his huge resume. He was knocking on the door of 100 yards last week. They set up a great play right at the end of the first half, going into the locker room with a bit of momentum, and clearly that carried over into the third quarter as we look at what Cole is doing for this team. And I'm sure he's giving himself a pep talk right now about what perhaps he has up his sleeve for the next possession, as they have 2 possessions that have resulted in 2 touchdowns, and now it'll be Becerra that will kick off, and Port Washington special teams trying to create something.
Yeah, Vialta's just going to put on his free safety helmet now, go out there. He has 11 tackles on the year, catching touchdowns, stopping touchdowns.
He does it all. And as Port Washington looking for a return, and Massapequa again bottling up the Vikings, as there has not been much wiggle room from that standpoint. That was Jet Bodner on the return.
Yeah, the Chiefs, they play defense, they play offense, they got a kicker, special teams, everything's rolling for Massapequa.
So Harry Einen, who looked the way of Levi Felix a lot on the first possession. We'll see whether or not they can get Jimmy Gannon going, one of their top wideouts. If you can get him out in open space, he can be explosive. And again, gets rid of it quickly and twirled and brought down at the 35-yard line as Massapequa again anticipating these quick throws, and that was to Michael Ioria.
Yeah, Ioria, returned back to the team this year. Has been a nice addition to that wide receiver core to help out Celta and Gannon and Felix. I don't know if you have to score here. It would be nice, but you definitely want to maybe churn some clock, get some first downs, and keep that Massapequa offense off the field.
And they're going to hand it off after an initial fake. And look at the penetration there by Massapequa. We saw Lucas Benucci in the mix, as well as Lorenzo Giliberti, the two of them.
Yeah, Giliberti got in there like a shot. Benucci's been really good, just winning at the point of attack, right? There's the offensive line, right? Those guys are in the backfield, right? So Giliberti filling in for Tarazi, it seems, and picking up the right where Tarazi's left off, being an absolute beast in the backfield for the opponents.
And you saw Jimmy Gannon tried to block for Joe Fox, but the penetration did not allow Fox to be able to respond. So the final minute here of the first quarter. Einen, he's going to take off, and he's going to look for an opening up the left side. And how about Harry Einen turning nothing into something with his legs to move the chains for the Vikings?
Had man coverage by Massapequa, a lot of things towards the right sideline. You had some crossing routes that were well covered. Goes out the backside. Watch the block here by Behan. Does a good job holding that edge there, allowing for Einen to pick up a much-needed first down.
And Harry is not much of a runner. He only actually had one run prior to that. That's just his second takeoff of the season, but he will not shy away from doing that as they're trying to capitalize in the final minute here. And they go to the conventional rushing attack and going to move forward for about 2 yards on that strong carry there by Joe Fox.
Yeah, he didn't make the tackle, but Giliberti again seems to be living in the backfield of Port. But nice job by Fox to get a few yards out of that run.
As the final seconds ticking away, and that is going to be the final play of quarter number one here in Port Washington. It's the Massapequa Chiefs, a perfect 4-0 on the season. 2 possessions, 2 touchdowns as Andrew Petalino takes it in on the ground on the first, and then Colvololta with the second. As we take another look, Petalino reaching out, going full extension to make it a 7-0 score. And then Colvololta over the middle, left all alone on an island, and making the most of his opportunities. The Chiefs up by a pair of touchdowns here on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
What's up, this is Sean Lights Out Merriman, former Charger and Bill, and you're watching Varsity Media.
Start of the second quarter here on the Varsity Media Sports Network with Port Washington driving, trying to get on the board for the first time this evening, trailing Massapequa by 2 touchdowns. And Harry Einen rushing for a first down. Here he's going to keep it. He's going to air it deep down the field, and that is going to drop incomplete as Levi Felix calling for a flag, but it doesn't look like he's going to get one.
Great coverage by Ippolito, the junior. 7 tackles on the year, 1 INT. 3-sport athlete, football, lacrosse, hoops. Pretty much ran that route with Felix. But you see the accuracy by Einen. Put that ball up where his receiver could go and get it.
Speaks volumes about this cornerback crew. They're all brand new for Massapequa, whether it's La Rosa, Ippolito, Dylan Milio, you see. And Kevin Chippos didn't know what to expect from this group, but he got a lot of good film and reps last week because Oceanside did not shy away from trying to air it out. And here, Port Washington's in a position where they're going to have to throw, given their 2-touchdown deficit. Einen with some time here in the pocket. It's closing quickly. He's dancing around. He lets it rip. And it's going to be an incomplete pass. He was trying to get Iorio again over the middle.
Yeah, nice job by Petalino. We saw him score a touchdown. We see him disrupt things on that route. Good protection, right? He had time to step up. Just no one open. Good job by the corners and safeties for Massapequa. Another 3rd down stop.
So as a result, we'll get another punt as they try to reverse the field, and it'll be a fair catch by Villalta. So Massapequa's offense is going to come out for the 3rd time, and Port Washington has yet to keep them out of the end zone, and we have seen the rushing attack. We've seen Cole be involved in terms of the passing game, even Anthony Dinello, who had a really nice grab over the middle on the opening drive. If you're Port Washington, you need a game-changing sack. You need a takeaway. You need something, Brian, to really add juice to the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, Dylan Buckley's been that guy. 5 NTs on the year. INTs, 3 versus Freeport alone. One of these athletes, right? Jimmy Gannon, right? A Celta, that quarterback of the defense. This is no better time than now. You got a Chiefs team that's rolling, right? 16 wins in a row. It's going to take something really to stop their momentum. Turnover would be huge.
So they're going to start from the 26-yard line. And they'll work the left side of the field. Here's Joe Brooks. And Brooks is able to gain some positive momentum on 1st down to set up a very manageable 2nd down here.
Yeah, a little screen pass, kind of like an extended handoff, but you got Burns, right? You had Farley out there, number 11. Watch the blocking out in front. Good job by Gargiulo handling that snap, kind of like a long handoff. Burns out there driving his guy backwards. You see still fighting at the end of the whistles, Gavin Farley.
And this pass is deflected and caught, and it's a clear path to the end zone for Massapequa. The aforementioned Gavin Farley with his 2nd score of the season as they are breaking things open here. The Chiefs in cruise control with the extra point pending.
Yeah, Farley had a long touchdown, 25 yards at least against Freeport. Hey, Gargiulo, why don't you catch it for him? Unbelievable job. We say extended handoffs. Look at the accuracy on this pass. Kind of gets tipped, but right into the hand. Great concentration by Farley. Smells touchdown. Gets rewarded for that great block previous. Way to go, Farley.
As Teddy Behan was trying to intercept it, he was in position, just couldn't get his fingertips on it. As a result, Farley gets behind the defense, and the rest is history. As Chris Pacetta delivers yet again, 3 for 3 with extra points. 21-0 Massapequa, and they have not missed a beat. We have seen them execute in the red zone, and now all of a sudden we see the explosion.
Just big targets. You got Farley 6 foot, Burns is 6'4". We haven't seen him catch a ball yet, but he's blocked like a bad man. And Villalta 6'3". You might have those small little scat backs, but you got some big receivers with great hands, right, that can hit the deep shot.
And Farley worked so hard this offseason to elevate his game. He has become such a good route runner, has great hands, as we just saw, and now all of a sudden it's being translated to the field, all of that heavy lifting that he did in the offseason. And when you start seeing the complementary weapons take the top off the ball, you know you're in trouble, or at least from Massapequa's perspective, you know you've got even more dangerous weapons to utilize. So Becerra is going to kick off, and Port Washington still early here in the second quarter, searching for that end zone for the first time.
Yeah, let's see if they can make a play on special teams. I think, with a over 30-man junior roster, I think this is like a little bit of a gut check for a younger team right now, and let's see how Port responds.
So the Vikings taking it up the gut, and they're going to be brought down as they cross the 25-yard line, as Jimmy Gannon had the kickoff return.
Yeah, Ryan Chabis, nice job on special teams, making the tackle. We highlighted Gannon in the beginning. He's a three-sport athlete for some very successful teams here at Port Washington. Schreiber, he was on that great championship hoops team. He's committed lacrosse play to Merrimack. Plays obviously a huge role for this football team. Just one of the better athletes in Nassau County.
That basketball team made it to the state championship game last year.
So fun to watch, Coach Dooley.
As they're just going to let it fly here. And is that going to be caught on the sideline for a catch? Yes, it is. An outstanding grab by Levi Felix as Harry Einen just floated one up to one of his top targets.
Yeah, this year he's got touchdowns of 75, 80, 56, 25. You see him get some separation, and we see him go up for a contested one. Ippolito's had some good coverage on him, but they keep feeding Felix, and he's rewarded Einen there with a great pass to the sideline.
Ippolito trailing a bit on the play. Here's Joe Fox, and he just runs into heavy traffic for a gain of maybe a yard.
Yeah, that's a great tackle. He's one of the biggest hitters in Nassau County, Nolan Wieserak. His brother was a great player, Ryan, who's at UMass playing lacrosse now. Congrats to Nolan, just committed to Richmond a couple weeks ago. One of the best lacrosse players in Nassau. Honorable mention All-American as a sophomore last year. Going to wreak some havoc this year already as a junior.
Wieserak came in, leading the team in tackles, as Port Washington is in Massapequa territory with a second down coming. They give it back to Fox, and Fox is going to pick up a couple to set up a manageable third down here.
Yeah, Wieserak there on the tackle again. He's one of those guys, he makes tackles, but they're almost like times two because he hits hard, but nice job by Fox getting into the hole. Another kid who's not afraid of contact.
Well, Wieserak, he knows how to leave a mark, both figuratively and literally speaking.
Yeah, he's got that kind of mean streak that Coach Schiffos really likes and can tap into. His brother was one of the best linebackers in all of Long Island football.
He was Nassau County's top linebacker last season, as Einen has plenty of space in the pocket, and that is going to be broken up incomplete over the middle. He was trying to get it to Felix, and Ippolito got a hand in the way.
Yeah, nice job. This line's been doing a good job, right? James McCormick, Angad Walla, right? Max Einen, Diego Escobar, Marrow, giving him time, delivers a ball, tough catch over the middle. Felix ain't dropping many of those, but, good contested coverage.
So the punting unit out yet again. A high snap recovered. And this bouncer is going to cooperate for the Vikings, as that's going to land right outside the 15-yard line. And Massapequa was going to take over for the fourth time. They have 3 possessions, and all 3 have resulted in touchdowns. The latest, Gavin Farley, as we look at Kevin Schippos and his team talking things over. They have been so strong since the opening kickoff of this game. This is an offense that is averaging 46 points per contest. Actually, they're coming off their lowest scoring affair. They only put up, and it's hard to say, only 36 last week, because prior to that, they had 58, 49, and 41 respectively, against Freeport, Westbury, and Hempstead. But it just goes to show you, even in a tight game, they can find a way to win. They proved that last week against Oceanside, but they are giving their defense plenty of flexibility this evening.
The thing they do really good is they stay on the field, right? There's 63% or so on third down conversions all year. A couple of times against Oceanside last week, 4th and short, they're able to pick it up. They just stay on the field. They stay on the field. They wear you down and methodically get you to the end zone.
So Gargiulo back to work. And he's going to hand it off to Petalino, who cuts through traffic, and he's en route to a first down, still on his feet, as he crosses the 35-yard line, and Massapequa continuing to find holes in this Vikings defense.
OC Mike Ambery and Shipos are going to show the last 3 plays for Farley and show a touchdown, but also 2 great blocks on the outside to get an extra 10 yards here. You see a little counter play. He does a really good job. Joe Brooks is a great blocker. But you see there, Farley out there staying on his block, extra 7 or 8 yards. Those things do not get unnoticed by coaches like Coaches Chipos.
Petalino shot through it like a bullet. Are they going to give Brooks a handoff? Yes, they will. He's got room up the sideline, and that's going to move the chains once again. So if it's not Andrew Petalino, it is Joe Brooks or vice versa.
Yeah, all the Massapequa kids, they talk about the camaraderie, they talk about the brotherhood of Massapequa football, and you see it. Brooks was out there blocking. Now you see Petalino out there like a rocket blocking. Farley as well. Just hats on hats, churning out yards.
Well, the 2 of them accounting for 8 touchdowns coming in, but Petalino already scored, so 9 on the ground. They dump it off to Farley, and Farley's going to get a few as he's pushed out of play as he was trying to get to the 40-yard line.
I mean, Jack Mulligan just does not stop blocking, right? He literally, to the very end of the whistle, brought a guy out of bounds.
That's the left tackle for Massapequa, a sophomore.
Yeah, got his opportunity to play and is absolutely thriving, right? Tight end on JV, now at left tackle for the Chiefs.
Yeah, he wound up getting so big that they said, hey, we got to move you to the offensive line. That came as a result of adding some meat and potatoes into the diet. And he has taken advantage of that. Gargiulo on the keeper. He's going to find room to maneuver. He's going to cut back, and Luke Gargiulo has brought his team back into the red zone in Port Washington, New York.
Yeah, now it's Danello on the outside. He has the key block, as well as Violta on the outside. But he's a little bit of a magician with these handoffs, right? To deception.
And there is a flag on the play, but we'll take another look at the surge here by the Massapequa quarterback. It looks like this is going to come back, a hold against the Chiefs.
Are they giving him a first down?
Yeah, it does look like they're going to give the first down to Massapequa, but back them up as a result of that hold.
Yeah, it might have been on the outside with Violta, right? Got one of the corners on a hold, but not after a big gainer.
So they're a little outside the red zone, and here's Petalino cutting back, and he is going to rumble towards the 25-yard line to get some of that yardage back.
Yeah, we see 64 out there on the line. Aiden Alonzo, a sophomore, 6 foot 210. Nice job by him carving out some space for Petalino.
Andrew Petalino scored a touchdown on the opening drive for Massapequa. Since then, it's been a pair of wide receivers that have found the pay dirt. With over 5 minutes to go, Gargiulo takes another shot into the end zone, and it's off the fingertips of Andrew Petalino and incomplete.
Yeah, maybe he heard the little footsteps, right? That was Buckley, the closest man for Port Washington. But that little kind of play action look, faking the jet sweep. Petalino leaks out. It was wide open.
And that looked like that had touchdown written all over it as Buckley came in, but he was a step behind. So 3rd and 9 here for Massapequa. Can they continue the drive? Gargiulo goes towards the sideline. Villalta makes one-man miss, and he's going to gallop into the end zone for his 2nd touchdown of the day. Cole does it again, and Massapequa has scored 4 touchdowns in as many possessions.
Yak, 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 yak. Yards after the catch. Watch Cole stick his foot in the ground. Beats Buckley on the outside to pay dirt. Quick pass to the outside. Stick your foot in the ground, young man. Whoop. Unbelievable job getting to the end zone. Yards after the catch, Villalta.
As that was Dylan Buckley who was in front of him, who he made get on roller skates there en route to the end zone. So Chris Bissetta for his 4th extra point. And it is a 28-0 Massapequa lead over Port Washington with under 5 minutes to go in the first half as Gargiulo got it to his major weapon who did the rest.
Yeah, just a well-timed route, gets it to the outside. I'm sure plenty of 7-on-7 this summer. You know, just an unbelievable job. Get it into the hands of your playmakers. Let them do the rest. Another accurate pass by Gargiulo, his 2nd connection to the Villalta on the night.
And for Cole, that is going to be his 5th receiving touchdown of the season, as he still leads the team in that category as well as in receptions and receiving yards. And a week after just finishing shy of 100 yards, he's positioning himself to maybe get past the century mark over the course of this game, depending on how much time we see the starters get. But Port Washington's defense just cannot get Massapequa's offense, Brian, off the field. And at this point, you're just hoping that your offense can also create some explosive plays, because you are just not going to have the luxury to go down at this rate.
Yeah, Shipos' key was to spread the ball. I'd say Massapequa's done a really good job with that so far.
And the return is not going to lead to much as they cross the 20-yard line with Jimmy Gannon, who's gang tackled at the point of attack. So he gets credited with an 18-yard return. And Port Washington's offense, which we saw create some flashes on their last possession. Harry Einen was able to connect with Levi Felix down the right sideline on a floater pass. But after that, they wound up stalling out.
They've been able to get like 1 first down. They just haven't been able to get that 2nd or 3rd, right, to get some momentum. You know, the big play, I think that's their ability. But I think so far Massapequa's done a good job stopping the Port run, which has kind of put them in third and long in situations. So I would still keep that running game going, right? Try to churn out some yards, and then you can set up your deep shots.
Yeah, that's been problematic, Brian, to your point. They just have not been able to get Joe Fox going. And they try to dump it off to him with a quick pass, but he bobbled it, and it's going to be incomplete.
Yeah, just a little timing was just a little bit off there, a little curl route by Fox. You know, he really has that ability to catch it. Just been a little bit off in this passing game so far for Port Washington.
Well, Fox is known for his physicality. Also can catch the ball out of the backfield. That's why they've been targeting him, just have not been able to convert thus far. And one of the things that Kevin Clogasy had mentioned is he's really taken well to coaching, especially this season as he looks to elevate his game. And that is going to be a connection, and that is going to be plenty of open space as Port Washington is going to bring it into Massapequa territory thanks to Jimmy Gannon showcasing his shiftiness.
Yeah, Jimmy Gannon, he sometimes runs the ball, but is a weapon at catching the ball as well. 37 targets coming into this game. Einen's favorite target, hits a big play at just the right time for Port Washington. You know, he's the backup quarterback as well, right? So does it all for the Vikings. But nice gain. You see his ability. You see his athleticism year-round for this Port athletic program.
I tell you, Cole at 6'3" just grabbed him and threw him out of play with a tremendous amount of ease. As that is a dangerous pass. It's bobbled and intercepted by Anthony Danello.
This might go.
And Danello's trying to reverse the field. He's got blockers, and he is still on his feet as he gets all the way down inside the 10-yard line. Just when it seemed as if Port Washington turned the corner, the Chiefs' defense tells them they have other plans, and it's their fullback on offense that rumbles and tumbles the opposite way.
Yeah, James McCormick stops the touchdown here, but little tip drill. That's Ippolito gets a tip on it. Danilo, we do work on those all the time in practice. Tip drill. That senior Danilo is all around the ball, whether it's blocking, intercepting, smelling the end zone here. Just look at the hustle. Again, blocking downfield. But look at McCormick, right? That's a lineman all the way downfield. Good angle to stop a touchdown.
So Anthony Danello with his first interception to complement his 2 sacks this season. So many great two-way players on this roster, and we're seeing it every angle of this field.
Yeah, can of corn for him, right? Baseball guy. That was a pop fly in the outfield.
And now he sets up his offensive teammates right in the red zone as they give it to Petalino, who turns the corner looking for the edge. And Andrew Petalino is in the end zone for the second time today, on the ground, muscling his way through traffic.
Got some laundry on the field.
And this is going to be brought back. So they're going to have to restart their offense as Petalino and company benefiting from a little hold.
Yeah, the whole just well blocked on the outside, maybe a little too much jersey on the outside, but this is a big, this is now 1st and goal from the 20. Definitely need a stop, maybe get some momentum here if you're Port.
Gargiulo's got 3 passing touchdowns today. 2 to Covilalta and 1 to Gavin Farley. Petalino with the only other touchdown that has come on the ground. And they're going to go to the air once again. Here's Joe Brooks. And Joe Brooks is going to bring them inside the 5-yard line, looking to punch it in yet again.
Yeah, Brooks is just that guy. He was on the team as a sophomore. He's experienced. He's smart. Coach on the field. Finds a nice soft spot in the defense. Just accurate throw. Just a few yards short.
As that was Eddie Conlon, the free safety that came up with the tackle to save the touchdown. And Gargiulo towards the right corner of the end zone, and he makes it look easy again. And this time, it's yet another wide receiver, Tyler Burns, with his 2nd score of the season, as they are spreading the wealth all across the Massapequa board.
Yeah, how's that for a target? 6'4", 195, wide open. Burns kind of been doing the dirty work in this first half for the Chiefs, blocking on the outside. He knows how to score. 31 goals on the lacrosse field. Give him his 2nd touchdown this year receiving for the Chiefs.
And Chris Becerra is going to make it 5 for 5 in extra points. Luke Gargiulo came in with 6 passing touchdowns on the season through the first 4 games. He's got 4 alone in the first half tonight. And that man at the center of your screen, Tyler Burns, is the latest, as he was able to beat his man into the right corner of the end zone. And it's the size, it's the athleticism, it's the length, you name it. It's all on full display here for this Chiefs offense.
Yeah, and a nice scheme as well by the Amberry and the offense. You see kind of 2 guys running these kind of post routes. Burns, kind of goes off of them, and 6'4" with a step, and Gargiulo's as accurate as I've seen all year, pitch and catch.
As we saw Dylan Buckley, one of the Port Washington players that was trailing on that play, as he has been all over the place trying to slow down this dangerous and deadly Massapequa passing attack, which has put 5 touchdowns on the board.
I mean, Gargiulo, is that right? Oceanside, right? He had 11 for 17, 198, and 121 on the ground, 319 total yards. I mean, that's Oceanside, right? This is his first year as the starter, and he's doing things that, listen, you're not going to forget a guy like Joey DSO, but, man, Gargiulo's been that good so far.
And Kevin Chippos had confidence that he could handle the position, and he immediately rewarded his head coach in that opener against Freeport. Kevin said he tore it up, and from that point on, they knew, okay, this offense is going to be in great hands. No hesitation at all. And the results speak for themselves.
Yeah, let's get Port Washington. Let's get that offense on the field. It'd be nice for them to punch one in here before halftime. Great crowd here tonight. The band's out. It's tough, right? This Chiefs arsenal when they get rolling, but there's lessons in every single play here on the football field.
Well, they could also potentially double dip here because they are going to get the ball to start the third quarter. And a play action over the middle to Gannon, and Gannon is brought down with authority by the opposing wide receiver / safety, Kovalolta.
2 pretty good athletes meeting in the center right there. Nice job. We've seen 2 catches in a row by Gannon. Getting hot. That connection's very good. Gannon's a senior, going to Merrimack, D1 athlete. He is not going to go quietly.
So they're going to hand it off to Fox, and Fox is going to be shoved out of play by La Rosa.
How about Van Skyler on the outside? 8.5 tackles on the season, but good job by him stringing this out. Does not give Fox any cutback lanes. Allows for La Rosa to step up and make a tackle.
So under 2 minutes to go here in the first half. And Port Washington working the middle of the field with Gannon and then tried to get to the boundary with Fox as they're trying to eat away at this Massapequa defense. So they go opposite side of the field to Felix, and Felix heads right towards the first down marker. Let's see where they spot it, and he's going to be short.
You mentioned it in the opening, right? We came in with 2 quarterbacks, right, who hadn't had a turnover, right? And Einen, kind of tip drill Danilo. That was the first turnover by both for both quarterbacks on the year. Pretty impressive to go this long without turning the ball over.
Yeah, still has a great ratio in terms of 13 touchdowns to 1 pick. Another fake handoff, and here's Einen trying to just throw it up, and that prayer is going to head into no man's land.
Yeah, that's Ryan Chabis Jr. Nice job getting into the backfield, disrupting Einen, forcing him to throw it away.
Now, there was a flag on the play.
Chabis has 4.5 tackles on the year. He's looking for his first sack.
Another lacrosse player whose older brother plays football and lacrosse at Chaminade, so you can see how he's active. So this looks like it's going to be a hold, and it's actually going to go against the defense, at least based on where the hand was pointed. So 14 seconds left here. And Port Washington in possession, just trying to put some points on the board, knowing they will get the ball to start the second half. And this has been tough sledding for them. They have watched Massapequa's offense march up and down the field. And as you mentioned, Brian, the deflected interception where it was ricocheted, and Anthony Dinello not only came up with it, but ate a chunk of the field up and brought it all the way inside the 10-yard line, and then a few plays later, Massapequa scored a touchdown. I always say takeaways are great, but it really is all about what you do with them. Well, Massapequa has cashed them in for points. So can Port Washington solve the riddle? As a result of that holding penalty, they're now at midfield.
Yeah, so Liam Carty's been playing center for Port. It looks like Max Einen, he's been out. He like Tristan Tarazzi is in street clothes. So we have different center for this game. Good job by Carty filling in the center position.
As Felix hauled that in with 10.2 seconds to go. And also, I'm sure in a game like this, Kevin Chipos is not taking any chances with his regulars, especially given where the score is right now.
Yeah, perhaps, you come out of halftime, one more score. If it stays like this, you don't need to tell anyone who they got next week. The Dalers, right, a little rematch. Massapequa, Farmingdale, we'll cover that on the Varsity Media Network. Unbelievable matchup. But definitely 2 goals here. Stay hot and stay healthy.
So it was a 4-yard reception for Felix. As Einen is talking over strategy with his head coach, Kevin Klagassi, in his 9th year overall. This is his 8th season as the head man. He's been running the program since 2018. Former college football player at Montclair, head coach at West Hempstead, and he's trying to get his offense to make an indent here. Einen's pressured, and he is going to take off, and he is going to try to get out of play as he was brought down from behind by Giovanni Tarazzi.
Yeah, Tarazzi, 4 tackles, an INT on the year, brother of Tristan. They play for their dad, FDNY hero, right? Bunch of 4 brothers, right, playing in the Massapequa jersey. Just an unbelievable family legacy for the Tarazzis.
So that was the final play of the first half. It will be Port Washington's ball to start the third quarter, but it was all Massapequa as Luke Gargiulo took Covalolta not once, but twice in this game. And then a little deflection, a hot potato that ends up in the hands of Anthony Dinello, who returns it all the way to the 10-yard line. And a few plays later, the Chiefs would punch it in as Tyler Burns is able to conquer some pay dirt. Massapequa with 5 touchdowns to take a 35-0 lead into the break. We will step aside, come back, provide our thoughts on the first half and more as you're watching Section 8 Nassau County Football here on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
You're watching the Varsity Media Sports Network, the home for New York high school sports.
High school sports fans, Varsity Media is the exclusive live stream partner of Nassau County Championships. To live stream fall, winter, and spring championship events, head to varsitymediapass.com to order. Now accessible on smart TVs. Varsity Media is your home for the Nassau County Championships. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for upcoming schedules and content, and on social media at Varsity Media.
Help keep Varsity Media's broadcasts free on YouTube by considering an advertising sponsorship. Our coverage of local games helps local businesses get visibility in the community. To learn more about our sponsorship packages and rates, email Ben at varsitymedia.net.
Hey parents, coaches, and players. Ever wonder what makes Varsity Media stand out as the tri-state leader in sports live streaming and videography?
If you're looking to optimize your sporting event, look no further than Varsity Media's coverage. Since working with them over the course of the past 4 years through the Elite 5 New York City Football Showcase, their coverage has helped take us to the top.
Varsity Media does an unbelievable job in terms of the broadcast, backgrounds on kids, do a great job of exposure from top to bottom. I couldn't really say anything negative. It's been a great couple of years that we've been working together, and it's just fantastic.
Well, I'll tell you, the fact that you guys are here has helped grow it, really. I mean, Varsity Media has been a good partner with us now for the last couple of years. That brings this game to a much broader audience.
The level of detail and that you go to, I mean, obviously the announcers, the camera angles, the slow motions, I mean, you feel like it's being covered by, ESPN.
If you'd like to book with Varsity Media, reach out at 516-403-2050 or email ben@varsitymedia.net. For all the latest Varsity Media updates, including our game schedules, be sure to follow us on social media at Varsity Media, the home for New York high school sports.
Parents, your support means everything to your athletes and to us at Varsity Media. To help us continue bringing you the best YouTube coverage of high school sports on Long Island, we invite business owners to consider a sponsorship on our broadcasts. If you own a business, consider a sponsorship for your athlete's team. It's a great way to show support, gain visibility, and keep the coverage going strong. Join us in making a difference. Contact Varsity Media today to learn more about broadcast sponsorship opportunities by emailing ben@varsitymedia.net. Now's your chance to score a touchdown with Varsity Media's ISO video. Video footage that focuses on your athlete only. Perfect for recruiting reels. Spots are limited, so reach out today. Email jeff@varsitymedia.net to book your next ISO video with Varsity Media.
Hey parents, coaches, and players. Ever wonder what makes Varsity Media stand out as the tri-state leader in sports live streaming and videography?
Well, I've been working with Varsity Media for 14 years. When we have video needs, whether that be a game, whether that be a practice, whether it be social media, it's nice to know that somebody understands what we're looking for without asking for it.
We started working with Varsity Media back in 2021, and since then they've been an absolute game changer, putting our event on the map. Varsity Media couldn't be a better partner, and if you're looking to optimize your event, I couldn't recommend them anymore.
It's been great for us. The kids really get excited when they know that Varsity Media is going to be here. Not just what's happening on the football field, but all the excitement that's around it. It really boosted the environment here, and everybody gets really excited for what's going on.
Varsity Media is reliable, professional, and their quality work is fantastic. It's like watching ESPN. The announcers are unreal, really do a great job of speaking to the coaches to get the knowledge of the players, the season, what's going on with the team. There is nothing better than Varsity Media doing a live broadcast.
If you'd like to book with Varsity Media, reach out at 516-403-2050 or email ben@varsitymedia.net. For the latest news in high school sports, be sure to check out varsitymedia.net or follow us on social media at Varsity Media.
Help keep Varsity Media's broadcasts free on YouTube by considering an advertising sponsorship. Our coverage of local games helps local businesses get visibility in the community. To learn more about our sponsorship packages and rates, email ben@varsitymedia.net. Now is a great time to book a sportscast with Varsity Media. What sets our sportscast apart isn't just the quality of our production, it's the knowledge, passion, and professionalism that our announcers bring to every game.
It's Merrill. Oh, look at a fake by Merrill. There's the spin again. Gary Merrill is not human. Touchdown, St. Anthony. Profeta! 1-0, Garden City.
Our commentators research athletes and highlight storylines that matter to your communities. Our approach creates a broadcast experience that not only informs, but elevates the athletes, giving the kind of recognition usually reserved for professional levels. Varsity Media's announcers make sure that every athlete has their moment. So book a Varsity Media Sportscast today, and let's get your team the recognition it deserves.
Are you a local business looking for new and creative ways to promote your company? Varsity Media offers affordable rates that can get your message across to a demographic of 18 to 54 years of age. Our follower base across social media is 75,000 strong, and our viewership numbers per game are in the thousands. Don't blow your advertising budget on old staples like TV and radio media. Reach out to Varsity Media to get the best bang for your buck.
You're watching the Varsity Media Sports Network, the home for New York high school sports.
Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for upcoming schedules and content, and on social media at Varsity Media.
Help keep Varsity Media's broadcasts free on YouTube by considering an advertising sponsorship. Our coverage of local games helps local businesses get visibility in the community. To learn more about our sponsorship packages and rates, email ben@varsitymedia.net.
For all the latest Varsity Media updates, including our game schedules, be sure to follow us on social media at Varsity Media, the home for New York high school sports.
Now,
and we are back here in Port Washington, New York at the break. Massapequa shutting out Port Washington 35-0. We have a number of individuals and businesses to thank, starting with the Massapequa and Port Washington booster clubs and teams, as well as the following: Alana Benjamin from Compass Realty, Orthopedic Associates of Manhasset, James McGuire from Skybox Images, Cal Lundberg from Ackerman Productions, Abby and JB Meyer from Chief Graphics, Arena Sports, Harry DeFeo from Harbor Deli, Eyesight, Insight, and the Walia family, as well as the Viking Sports Foundation. So we thank all of those individuals and organizations for supporting us here on the Varsity Media Sports Network, as Massapequa's offense did not miss a down, did not miss a beat, did not miss a snap. It seems they were in tune and in sync with 5 touchdowns, Brian, in the first half. And Luke Argiulo just spreading the wealth and forcing Port Washington to defend every angle of the field.
Yeah, crossing routes down the middle, deep shots, you name it, right? Everything's going well for Massapequa. You know, we were treated here at halftime. The Portettes, right, did a nice job, the cheerleaders. And again, you see some of the pink socks and things out here. Tackle cancer, kind of the motto for this Port Washington community, and that means a lot to a lot of people, including myself. But great job here, just a great sports community, and shout out to those booster clubs for always doing the right thing for the kids.
Now, as far as the second half, Kevin Cloggessy, what do you think he's going to learn about his team based on this current adverse situation that they're facing?
So first off, credit to Massapequa, right? They got a big game against Farmingdale. Everyone knows next week. To not look ahead and to really have a great first half like that, that's tremendous. But I think, Cloggessy said that he learned a lot about his team in the Oceanside game, and I think he's going to learn a lot about his team right now in the second half. I think if you're in the halftime, you're like 0-0. Let's start fresh. Let's make sure that we show some pride here. And I think getting the ball first is exactly what he wants, and hopefully they can turn it into a touchdown.
Because they wound up kicking off to Massapequa to start the game, so Harry Einen and company will have an opportunity to move the football, and that has not necessarily been problematic. It's just after getting a first down here or there, they had obviously the deflected interception or maybe a wide receiver and a quarterback not on the same page. It's just the inability, Brian, to put together a complete drive. That seems to be their biggest struggle tonight.
Players are open. It's just timing's just a little bit off. Couple of drop passes. Timing not perfect on a couple of the routes. You get a tip ball that leads to a long interception. Here you see it. Tip goes back the other way. Not too long before the half, leading to another Massapequa touchdown. They take everyone's best shot and they keep responding. Coach Shippos comes from a Penn State wrestling program, right, where he wrestled that doesn't lose very much. They're looking at 16 in a row right now. Not quite Garden City level, but so impressive when you talk about the competition that they play year in and year out. Just super impressed by the Chiefs program.
Well, the level of consistency, what you noted earlier, the fact that they lost a lot of talent from last season, yet these players from JV or players that were just itching to get a bigger role last season, all of a sudden thrown into the spotlight and delivering. I mean, all of that has been significant. And I think what also a game like this showed is they were in a highly contested contest last week that you were talking about against Oceanside. And then you come back the following week and your offense is basically robotic. It's machinery that you just put in place, you hit all the right buttons, and it's business as usual before that showdown against Oceanside.
Yeah, and they're doing it now at the varsity level, but these kids have been doing it together since they were 5 years old. When these kids they tell us about their favorite moments, it's not always varsity moments, right? They talk about the Mustangs and the Massapequa youth program, and how Tarazi and Gargiulo and all the boys, Danello, right? They've been playing together for so long. So shout out to the community, those dads, those coaches in the community that have taught these kids to play football the right way, the unselfish way, how they block for each other and don't seem to care who gets the spotlight.
We have seen quite the offensive display by the Chiefs in the first half with Luke Gargiulo connecting with Cole Vallona twice, Gavin Farley once, Tyler Burns once as well, and Andrew Pedalino, it seemed like he scored ages ago, had the rushing score on the opening touchdown drive. And Port Washington is going to get the ball to start the third quarter. And Harry Einen, who had been perfect on the season, unfortunately picking up his first interception of the year, but still should not take away from all that he's accomplished thus far. And this is his second year on varsity, and they've been very pleased with his maturation. He started a handful of games as a sophomore, the first 3 or 4 contests, and those reps and snaps helped him immensely because they used Harry Behan as the quarterback last season. It was a more of a read, run type of offense. He's now playing lacrosse at Syracuse, a freshman defender. So this is more of a conventional approach, Brian, for them this season with Harry under center.
Yeah, Einen's been tremendous, right? He scores goals from the crease on lacrosse, right? And he dishes the ball out to his receivers, gets them there on time. But huge experience for him this year. But you just think about this Massapequa defense, right? Oceanside scored some points on them. I'm sure an emphasis by Shippos this week was, listen, we're coming to this game. Port scored 42, 36, 51. there's a goose egg up on the board against a really good offense, and I think this is a perfect scenario for the Chiefs, right? Getting their defense corrected a little bit, right? Not to say that it needed much correcting, because Oceanside can light up the scoreboard against anybody, but I think you want to feel like you have all systems go for the Dalers.
So the teams heading back onto the field as we see the Vikings gearing up to receive the opening kickoff of the third quarter. They will have a running clock, we have been told, in the second half, given the current score. But Port Washington doesn't need that as a reminder to the urgency of what is right in front of them and what they have to tackle and take on. But it's a matter of them trying to finish drives. That is the big thing for them. Levi Felix, he's been targeted a lot. We saw Jimmy Gannon over the middle of the field. We have not seen much of Micah Celta over the course of this game, so perhaps they'll look to do what Massapequa did, spread the wealth a little bit more. And the other thing that you pointed out, Brian, and this made it very difficult to sustain drives when you're not running the ball effectively, especially on early downs, you're facing 3rd and 7 or longer, and now Massapequa knows you're going to throw the ball, and it doesn't give Harry Einen as much flexibility in terms of the play calling sheet.
Yeah, and it puts a lot of pressure on him. You almost have to be perfect in those third down situations, and we've seen, just timing off a little bit. But if I'm Port Washington, I think the motto is to win this quarter. Hey, you went 21-0 first quarter last game against Westbury. Not to say that, you're going to do that today, but, win each quarter, I think is the main philosophy here coming out of halftime.
So we see Jimmy Gannon and Teddy Behan back to receive the kickoff. Can they get a special teams return to change the trajectory of their offense in the final 2 quarters? As Chris Bissetta will get set to kick off, the senior, who also is a soccer player. Now, he's a Ravens fan. Is that okay, Brian?
Sure,
Have you given the seal of approval?
I'm not.
Okay.
I wasn't hating on the Jets before. They haven't been doing too good, so he hasn't had much to cheer for.
Understandable, as we gain a little bit more context into the thinking of Brian Soper, for those of you reading between the lines of every word as that goes into the end zone for a touchback. So no return opportunity for Port Washington. Though the Ravens are not doing too well themselves, given Lamar Jackson's injury, and their defense is an absolute mess.
Yeah, porous.
They have been missing so much personnel. They've been the walking wounded. They may have the most talented IR list.
Yeah, pretty talented IR list here today without Tristan Tarazzi for the Chiefs. Hopefully he gets healthy for next week, and I would love to see Max Einen back, 6'2", 185. What a great goaltender he is for the Port Washington lacrosse team, over 70%. Last year, going to The Ohio State University.
And there are some great athletes in the Einen family as Harry takes over under center, and they're going to come out with a handoff to Joe Fox, and he'll gain a couple. So their father, Harry and Max, played quarterback at Lehigh, and their great-grandfather was also a quarterback. So it's understandable that the family was going to pass down the skill set through the food chain. And Lehigh, coincidentally, is going to be in the local area. They'll be playing Columbia tomorrow in a big game. Lehigh's program, by the way, is a top 10 ranked unit, which is 6-0 on the season as they stick to the ground again with Joe Fox, who's moving towards that first down marker, and they're going to reward him, and they're going to move the chains.
Love to see it. I love to see, Coach, Clogacy come out, probably challenge his line, probably challenge the junior Joe Fox as well. Great to see them respond with, 2 carries for a first down.
You see Fox just continuing to churn those legs.
Yeah, nice little jump cut.
And a quick release, and that one a little too high for Fox as Einen immediately let it rip off of the snap.
Yeah, it's just been a game of inches in this passing game for Port. He's open, right? Accurate ball, just missed. Now brings up 2nd and 10. Now you're in a difficult spot. If you run with no gain, now you're 3rd, and if you want to put the ball up in the air again, you risk an incompletion.
So second down here for Port Washington, and Fox is brought down in the backfield. Great penetration again by Massapequa, and their defense doing the heavy lifting. Ryan Chabis, who we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, nice job by Chabis, just sniffing this out from the backside, wraps him up. Unbelievable job by him.
Chabis also a great special teams player in terms of the coverage unit. And they're mixing him in, given the score and also the fact that he has been popping up on film each and every week thus far.
Yeah, Giants fan looking a little like, Burns or Abdul Carter scraping down the line there.
Kayvon Thibodeau would have been acceptable as well.
Sure.
Good pocket here for Einan. He's going to try to extend this play, and that is a dangerous one that ricochets before it finally falls incomplete. And that is going to force the punting unit to come back out onto the field. So Port Washington could not take advantage of getting possession here to start the third quarter.
Yeah, host the Chiefs. Van Skyler does a good job getting in the face. Captain of this football team, looking for a job down the road in broadcasting, right? Perhaps, varsity media one day for Van Skyler.
And this bouncer is going to take a Vikings roll at the 30-yard line. So the Massapequa offense will start there, which had been electric in the first half. And you mentioned the defensive line now surging into the spotlight to set up their offense is Van Skyler, the senior, who is so vocal. A baseball player who also comes from great family genes. His younger sister was a third baseman on the 2023 Little League Softball World Series Championship team. The connections across the board are phenomenal as we look at Kevin Chippos, the head coach of the Chiefs in his 15th season, product of Baldwin. And his team is running a 16-game winning streak, and they are 4-0 on this season. And their offense now back out there, and he's smiling somehow. You may not see it.
That's a tough dude right there.
But something tells me he's okay with this result is they'll get a few yards on the handoff there.
If there's any spot or place in sports that I want to see, it's the wrestling room at Penn State. I want to see what that room looks like on a daily basis with the competition in that room. Shippos, legendary wrestler, football player at Baldwin. But now bleeds Chiefs.
So we have some changes here as Blake Seidenstein is now in a quarterback for Massapequa. And he is going to keep it himself on the quarterback run. Was trying to cut to the outside, and it'll be a minimal gain. As on that first handoff, we also saw Dan Walsh. And it's understandable Massapequa is going to start to work in some other personnel given their 5-touchdown cushion here.
We have a running clock. It's going to make this game go very, very quickly. Good chance for some of the boys to get rewarded for practice day in and day out.
So Seidenstein is a sophomore, 5'9", 160. And Walsh is a senior at 5'10", 170. He's number 22. So those two manning the backfield here for the Chiefs. And they're going to go the opposite side, and a great open field tackle by Port Washington. And it was Jeff Bodner who was able to prevent the takeoff for Massapequa.
Yeah, Bodner's done a little bit of everything. We've seen him punt the ball since, Max Einan's out with an injury. So punting the ball, making a big tackle there. Great chance for all of these guys to gain experience and to show something on tape.
So that'll bring out a rare occurrence.
Yes.
And that is the punting unit for Massapequa with Chris Bissetta, who handles place kicking and kickoff duties. And
yeah, that was Danello with the long snap.
And a mishandled recovery, thankfully, goes the way of Port Washington, as that could have been dangerous. Micah Celta bobbled it and then was able to jump back onto it.
Yeah, Coach Clark, as he said, he's best in the scramble drill. I think he met on offense. He's scrambling here for a loose ball. The last thing you want to do is give the Chiefs an easy one. Nice job jumping on that, securing a possession for Port.
So Port Washington's offense back on the field as we look at Kevin Clogasy in his 8th season as the head man. And he's trying to get his team to walk away with some positives, as it was tough sledding in the first half. And you see him having a conversation with Micah Celta, trying to figure out what happened on the attempted punt return. As it bounced over his head, and he was fortunate to jump onto it, because if not, Massapequa could have easily had another red zone possession, and we saw that off the interception in the first half.
Yeah, last year this Port team, 35-26, that first-round playoff loss, right? Tyler Vialter had 2, Diesso had 2, and Skirba, right? So you're coming into this game, 5 of those touchdowns scored by Pequa last year are graduated, but rinse and repeat for the Chiefs.
So that was Christian Lee on the handoff for Port Washington. He's a linebacker that also plays fullback. So once again, both teams are going to go a little bit deeper into their depth chart, given the current circumstances of this game.
Yeah, Lee, 5'10", 175, junior.
And we also see that Heinen is out of the game. So we're going to go a little wildcat action here with Michael Iorio, number 5, handling quarterback duties.
Yeah, Justin Farrell was in there on the tackle. A couple other guys. Farrell is one of the better defensemen lacrosse-wise on Long Island. Recently committed to Michigan. 2-time All-County. Only a junior. Wolverines are getting a really good one.
And Iorio's got an interesting story. He returned to the team this season. He was not on the squad as a junior, as we see Lee, again, just trying to find an alley. He chose to focus more on baseball last season, and then all of a sudden the itch returned, and he said, you know what? I'm a senior. I want to get back onto the gridiron, and he's earned his way into the rotation, back in the mix, so really nice to see him reunite with his teammates and try to help them in their run towards a postseason appearance.
Yeah, good tackle there, Scanapiecco, number 40.
So the punting unit out again. Here's Jeff Bodner, high snap, and he'll have plenty of time to get it off. And this is going to be a short one that is going to take a friendly Vikings roll inside the 40, and it will land at the 41. So that is where Massapequa's offense will come back out with the final minute counting down here in the third quarter. As we mentioned, a running clock. So that's why things are moving along quite rapidly after a 5-touchdown performance for Massapequa in the first half. So if any of the members of the officiating crew had dinner plans this evening, they're in very good shape. They will not have to make a phone call unless traffic, unforeseen traffic, comes into play. They should be in very good shape and opportunity to interact with whoever they have scheduled, as we'll see Walsh take it up the left sideline, and a nice pickup for him as he gets out to the 35-yard line.
Yeah, Dan Walsh, nice carry there.
And that will be the final play of the third quarter.
Yeah, Walsh is a senior, also a wrestler.
Well, he wrestled his way towards another golden opportunity for the Chiefs offense as they are in Vikings territory. 3 quarters in the books here in Port Washington, and it's all Massapequa up 35-0 on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
You're watching the Varsity Media Sports Network, the home for New York high school sports.
Now's your chance to score a touchdown with Varsity Media's ISO video. Video footage that focuses on your athlete only. Perfect for recruiting reels. Spots are limited, so reach out today. Email jeff@varsitymedia.net to book your next ISO video with Varsity Media.
Start of the fourth quarter here in Port Washington with Massapequa trying to punch it in with some members of their depth chart, as we see Seidenstein keep it himself and get out near the 30-yard line. Now mark it at the 31.
Yeah, Dean Scutella, right, 65 junior, likes to cook. Well, he was pulling there, leading the way for the Chiefs.
Another handoff here to Walsh, who's going to cut back, and he's moving that pile forward down towards the 25-yard line. So Walsh and Seidenstein have had some nice chemistry here, doing a lot of the heavy lifting out of the backfield.
Funny you mentioned chemistry, right? Clark looking to major in biology next year in college. See Shane Jean out there. His brother Kenny was a big part of the Chiefs rolling last year.
And they stick to the ground, and a little spin off the tackle there by Giovanni Antonelli, the junior running back who stands at 5'8", 155. And if you're Kevin Shippos, this is a great opportunity to evaluate what you have down the pipeline, because you don't always have these luxuries based on how games play out. And a lot of these players work hard in practice, and for them to get some game action as opposed to simulations can go a long way, as they again hand it off up the right side, and a strong push down at the 10-yard line there by Giovanni Antonelli, who's making the most of his second carry.
Yeah, nice job. Looked like William McEntee for the Port defense. Good hustle down the field to stop a potential touchdown. Show a lot. You're down by a bunch of points. You keep fighting, you scrapping, you get your time. Love to see a kid like that not quit.
And Seidenstein's going to hand it off to Antonelli again, and he's going to be tripped up just short of the 5-yard line. His Massapequa team not missing a beat, even with some of the second and third tier players getting in here.
That was a nice block by Farrell. Again, Justin Farrell, really great lacrosse player. Nice block there. His older sister, Kiersa, is a freshman, plays lacrosse at Merrimack. Younger sister, Ellie, 9 years old, plays some field hockey, likes to dance.
So Joe Palmer now, number 27 out of the backfield, and he looks to go right to left, trying to spin out of a tackle, and he's sandwiched down. As coming in there was Elliot Turbin, who's their kicker and also serves as a defensive back.
Yeah, shoestring tackle there.
So it'll set up a third down here for Massapequa.
Yeah, you see 83 out there, Aiden Enright, another basketball lacrosse guy. Older brother plays lacrosse at Adelphi. Go Panthers.
A delayed handoff to Palmer, fighting his way through, and he's still chugging along here, and he's going to get quite the tush push. Joe Palmer, welcome to the end zone for the first time in his career, as Massapequa adding to its tally. As you could tell, his teammates all smiles for him, and you love to see that, even with a game out of reach at this point.
Yeah, would not be denied. You know, does it for himself, but he lists his dad as his hero. Little tush push into the end zone, like you said. Unbelievable job by him, and you see how Howard sided both the teammates on the field and on the sideline cheer for him.
So Chris Bissetta, one of the only starters still in the game, and I should mention Joe Brooks holding for him as well. And that is going to be the 6th extra point to make it 42-0. So much excitement by this Massapequa team as they find a way to get into the end zone yet again. And I want to take you through some of our upcoming sportscasts as it'll be quite the showdown tomorrow afternoon. Iona Prep and Chaminade, and then boys soccer. Midweek battle between Massapequa and Uniondale, with that one starting at 5 p.m. Eastern. And, of course, stay locked to youtube.com/varsity media to see all the action which we bring you here throughout Nassau County. And as this one, unfortunately, got out of hand early, the Chiefs scoring on their first 4 possessions. And Luke Argiulo tossing touchdowns to 3 different targets, 2 to Covalalta. Andrew Palladino with a rushing score, and now we're seeing some of the backups get some playing time, and unfortunately Port Washington just unable to sustain drives, some drops, an interception that set up another short field. It's just been one of those nights for the home team as Chris Bissetta will kick off for Massapequa. And they're going to try to return this if they could reverse the field, and Port Washington is not going to have any luck. Look at the hustle by the Chiefs special teams unit. And you know what? Even a guy like Andrew Pedalino and Covalalta still in, Brian, playing special teams, knowing they're up comfortably but still treating it as if it's a one-possession game.
Yeah, and that's Dylan Milio, number 17 junior, another lacrosse player, good size, 6'3". He does it, special teams, his second tackle. He does it all for his sister Madison. She passed away at 9. She loved to cheer for her brother. And the Milio family does a tremendous job raising awareness. That kid fights every day for his sister, and you see it on the special teams effort.
So we're approaching 6.5 minutes to go. As they'll stick to the ground attack, and just sensational tackling in the open field here by Massapequa, as that was Justin Farrell.
Yeah, Farrell's a real good player. His role football-wise will definitely increase next year as a senior, but an absolute beast on the lacrosse field. One of the better, fundamentally sound defensemen I've seen in a long time. For Massapequa, and they've had some really good defensemen.
And he plays the star position, so they were really monitoring him all offseason to see whether or not he can handle it. And in a game like this, I think he's solidifying the fact that that role is going to be his to lose now, as he has put the clamps on that position. And even the Vikings still to this moment in the game having a hard time finding openings on the ground regardless of the personnel.
Yeah, Massapequa was won it in the trenches. The defense has kind of lived in the backfield, or at least creating a stalemate at the line of scrimmage, allowing for short gains.
So here's Iorio, who's been handling quarterback duties in the second half, as he'll hand it off yet again. And that is John Rather, their fullback, junior, with the carry.
Yeah, nice burst by Rather. Saw a hole, cut back. Unfortunately, it was 3rd and 12. He got 5, but a positive carry falling forward.
So we'll see Jeff Bodner come into punt yet again. And he has been relying on those bouncers, though. This one is going to fall back in to Port Washington territory for Massapequa, as they're going to start at the Vikings 49-yard line. And we saw Joe Palmer get a rushing touchdown on the last possession for the Chiefs, and Kevin Shippos will continue to turn to his valuable depth chart. It was interesting because prior to the Oceanside game last week, one of the things that Kevin had said was our starters have only played 3 halves because he actually was going to his backups in those other games that were lopsided victories. So this has followed the script, Brian, of the first 3 games of the season. But I think the Oceanside game was important because it gave him an idea of if they are going to go down to the wire, how will his group handle it? And the fact that it came early in the season, as you're going to have a Farmingdale on the horizon and so forth, will, you figure, prove to be beneficial. As Seidenstein trying to get out into open space, and he's got a nice run up the right sideline, out inside the 20.
Yeah, nice job keeping it, but not shocking in that Oceanside. When you need a big score, when you trust someone around the goal line, you give it to your senior, Anthony Danello. Yeah, nice job here. Sees a hole. He says, I want to get to the end zone too. Good blocking out in front.
He's doing his best Luke Gargiulo impersonation there.
Christian O'Hara, 84, out there blocking.
And the run game not going anywhere. Is Port Washington able to read that perfectly? That was Ty Noga with the tackle, junior defensive lineman.
Yeah, Bodner as well in the backfield. They might really drain this one out.
Well, we are approaching 2 minutes. And this running clock clearly moving along. And the running game has helped for both teams. I can't even remember the last time we had a pass attempt in this game. It's been moving so quickly. As Massapequa trying to get some additional personnel involved here.
Yeah, that's Aiden Enright on the jet sweep. Nice tackle. Adrian Restivo, junior, 6'4", 165. Kind of a jet sweep action. We've seen this a lot tonight.
So Restivo tonight piling up some of his first tackles of the season, the junior. And constant personnel changes here for Massapequa.
Carlo Kerr's in there on the line.
And that is going to be a tackle by William McEntee.
Yeah, his second tackle, really, doing some good things here in the second half. That one for a loss. He chased down a long gainer, stopping a touchdown before.
Final minute here in Port Washington.
Yeah, Port will be back. Remember, there's 31, 32 juniors on this team. They're going to remember this taste. They hope to maybe see them again like last year. They saw them twice, once in the playoffs. There's Restivo.
And some nice open field tackling by Port Washington, as that was Peter Konstantakos.
Nice job with that one.
We've been rolling them off the tongue. We have preseason and training camp just like the players, and you saw, again, Restivo get his hands on the back of the jersey to bring him down, as that is going to do it here in Port Washington. May go down as the fastest second half in the history of Nassau County football, but Massapequa had quite the lengthy showing in the first half as the Chiefs were able to jump out to a sizable lead with some explosive plays on the ground, through the air. And it adds up to a 42-0 victory as Massapequa improving to 5-0 on the season. Port Washington is going to suffer its second setback at 3-2. And Massapequa now looking ahead, of course, at that showdown with Farmingdale.
Yeah, and Joey Diesso, I heard, is in town. I might be meeting him at a deli in Massapequa. We might be talking a little Chiefs special. It's going to be unbelievable. Hail to the Chiefs. They keep it rolling. But again, Port Washington, Massapequa, two of the better sports communities here on Long Island. Just a well-played ball game. Let's get Tarazi, Tristan healthy. Max Einen, get out there, get healthy. But sportsmanship galore out here tonight. Nice job by both teams respecting the game tonight with the second half.
Luke Gargiulo with 4 touchdown passes as he was able to put on quite the offensive clinic. He now has 10 passing touchdowns on the season, no interceptions, and also 3 on the ground. And it was just a mix of so many different players, and I think if you're Kevin Chippos, not that he didn't learn a lot about his team, but he feels that much better that on any given night, Brian, they could turn to a Gavin Farley. It doesn't have to be the Cole Vololta show 24/7, and they could still find a way to get some explosion and move the chains.
Yeah, and I think he's going to like the 0 up there on defense. I think they like the way they stopped running the ball today because some guy named Josh Kama is going to be coming for the Chiefs, and they're going to have to stop him to keep this win streak rolling.
Yeah, only 495 rushing yards for Kama in that game. And I think still they're counting and tallying that number up. That's going to be quite the challenge. The second shutout, by the way, for Massapequa's defense, who beat Westbury earlier this season 49-0. All right, that is going to wrap up our coverage here in Port Washington, New York. We want to thank our executive producer, Ben Turchin, technical director, Becca Kazaks, our entire crew. For Brian Soper, I'm Lance Meadows saying so long from Port Washington, New York. The final score, Massapequa 42, Port Washington 0, as the Chiefs still undefeated at 5-0. Have a good one here on the Varsity Media Sports Network.